Hey everyone, we are back with a Metro Siege update video, and by we I mean with me as always is Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Okay, so recently there was the record longest ever Amiga Build Twitch stream, and he had on as a guest both Alex Brown, the programmer of Metro Siege, and John Takiris, who has done a lot of stuff, but also he is the amazing musician and sound guy for Metro Siege. It was also the world premiere of the finally introducing the level 1 boss of Metro Siege to the general public. But most people are not going to have the time to watch through an entire 6+ hour live stream, so we figured that we would just play through the game right now. Button.
Alright.
And then this game right now supports 2-player. You could be whoever you want of the two characters. And
Oh, we can be the same character, too.
Yeah, we can. Currently, they have the same exact color scheme. I'm going to try to change that later so that they're kind of remaps of each other if you
Nice.
pick the same character.
Awesome, yeah.
So here
Okay.
we are. I'm controlling Kim, and Corey is Alex up there, not to be confused with Alex Brown, the programmer of the game.
Right.
And you can see we start outside of an MMA gym. That's going to be part of the story. There's no opening cinematic sequence yet. It just goes right from the menu screen into the game. But eventually it will be explained that Alex is one of the people that is kind of a manager of that gym that's frequented by the police, which is how he is friends. Like, they train there, some of the police officers.
Right,
And
yeah.
that's how he is friends with Kim, who's a police officer, or just recently ex-police officer who got kind of railroaded out and unceremoniously fired or laid off from the police. It's a typical, this game Metro Siege really takes a lot of inspiration from the classic 80s vigilante movies.
Right.
And so more so, obviously, I'm also a really big fan of the genre in general, of beat-em-up games. And so Streets of Rage 2 was definitely the biggest influence, but also Final Fight. But I sort of wanted to go back in kind of storytelling and visually. I wanted to get more influence from those vigilante movies than the classic Japanese-made beat-em-up games did.
Right. What was the...
Yep.
How do you pick up items again?
Oh, yeah. For all of the kind of more advanced actions in this game, you hold attack and then do something. So to grab people, you hold attack and tap forward toward the person. And to grab
Right.
something that's on the floor, you hold attack and tap down.
Right. Okay.
So the nice
It could
thing...
be, yeah, it could be the lag. I thought that
Yeah.
was it. I have
There you go.
decent latency going on, but it's mainly my internet connection. It's not the game or anything. Just so people are aware of maybe
Yeah.
why I'm playing so terribly or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I said, the game itself does have an online mode, and it got, during the Amiga Bill live stream, it got the ultimate stress test. Alex Brown is in New Zealand, and Amiga Bill was in New York at the time. And so that's a massive distance for the data for input and stuff, and the kind of the synchronization to take place, and it was still playable. So in a situation more like ours, if you had high-speed internet, like really, like cable internet, we should be able to play quite fluidly. I did test that with my brother, who's also near New York. He's in Rhode Island.
Right.
And I'm in France, and he was able to play with almost no noticeable latency, which is really cool. So it does work well, but we're not fully set up for that yet. And Corey's, I think you've got DSL internet, right? Which is...
Yeah, and it's due to my location. Like, you can have it's the upload speed that's the issue.
Yeah.
You can have a better one, and I think I was able to temporarily get it, but they had to default it back down because apparently whatever they were doing wasn't working correctly or something. It was causing issues, and so they had to Like they were saying it was like too much for the distance, or like how
Right.
far away I was or something like that. So yeah, it's just a location thing. Yeah.
So I should start to talk about some of the moves you could do. Extremely similar to the moveset of Streets of Rage 2, although there are differences to how you get things out. Like, one of the things is grabbing, you actually have to initiate it. One of the things that was always a pet peeve of mine playing almost every other fighting game or beat 'em up game was that it's so easy to accidentally grab people when you don't want to, including your own allies in the game.
Right.
So that's why it's now hold attack and then tap forward. That makes it drastically less likely you'll accidentally grab when you don't want to. And it's the same thing for the trash turkey. How many times in a fighting game have you been playing with a partner who's low on life, and you might go over there to try to save their life, and you start attacking the enemy that's attacking them, and you accidentally grab the trash turkey that they desperately needed, even though you're at full health or near full health? Here
Yep.
comes the boss, everyone.
Oh, right. Yep.
So actual disk loading, because this is based on classic Amiga, even though I'm running on an emulator right now. There he is. His name is Officer Bob. That's a play on Amiga nerd knowledge. On the Amiga computer, they don't use sprites for the moving objects typically. They use blitter objects, which are affectionately called bobs. So he is a crooked cop on the take, and he's one of the reasons that Kim, one of the heroes of the game, has been fired from the police. So basically, a couple of high-ups have been bribed by some new wannabe mob lords that are taking over the city, hence Metro Siege, and he's one of the cops on the take, one of the low-ranking cops on the take, and Kim is trying to figure out what is going on. Basically, they sent Officer Bob to try to thwart Kim's efforts to discover the truth.
Nice. I like how you tied it in with her character to some degree.
Thanks. Yeah, there's more to it than that, but I'll leave a lot of this. It's not really spoiler because it'll be like the opening scene of the game will explain all this, but I still want to leave a little bit of mystery for now. So anyway, and now the fight will actually begin. He draws a gun, but we make the gameplay for a level 1 boss fight more fair, so he doesn't get the chance to shoot you. Another thing, when you don't have an enemy to grab below you and you initiate you hold attack and press down, you'll do an actual low attack, so that's something that typically did not exist in general in other beat-em-up games.
Oh.
So it's a great way to get a lot of enemies off guard, even when they might otherwise be on guard. You can... Oh, there we go. We got his energy low, so I don't know if you guys noticed that, but he actually ate the donuts he had set on the hood of his car. Another thing you could do that's not in most beat-em-up games, you can actually jump up and down the screen and on diagonals. So you could jump kick someone from an off angle, which usually, especially early on in the game, you'll catch enemies and bosses off guard that way as well.
Right.
Typically, if you grab Bob, he's a big guy, so he can kind of whack his way out of the grab. So usually if you grab him, you have to do something extremely quickly, like just try to knee him, or he'll just break out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, we got him down low enough, his meter, so he's going into mode 2. You can see he just went...
I love that you gave the car
The
a
bounce?
little bit of it. The
Yes.
bounce, like he's opening
Slamming the door.
Getting something out of it.
All about
Perfect.
storytelling. And speaking of that, the car and all of Officer Bob was done by Corey, and he did a fantastic job. What a great character. What great animation set within extreme memory limitations. For those of you that don't know, the characters have to all be made out of as few individual body part images as possible that are all kind of, it's called modular animation. All the body parts are just put together in different positions and then swapping the particular body part image when you absolutely need to for a specific movement, like obviously an extended arm for a punch. But it is amazing how few individual body part images are used to create all of the different animations for all of the characters, including Bob. And there we go, you got him. So here he is. We seem to have beaten him, but then, being the good Samaritan he is, Alex says we should get that gun we kicked out of his hand before it ends up in the wrong hands. So they go to get it, and Bob wasn't quite as defeated as we thought. His expression was so perfect in that run animation you made as he goes down.
All right.
All right, and here's an upcoming example of cinematics we can trigger at any point in the game engine. So you just saw Officer Bob still on the run, so the game's reminding you we're still chasing him.
I appreciate the speed of that too. Like it's a quick, scroll over, and then it's right back to the action instead of it being overly done, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even though, like I said, there's going to be more inspiration from the storytelling of the Vigilante movies, I want to make sure that all of the storytelling happens in those moments in between the levels, while the level has to load the next level anyway. And then these super, super brief, like 1-2 second interludes, and then dialogue after you beat the boss when you probably want a little couple second
it's
break.
fine at the boss fight, but it's like you get into this level and it's like you're ready to go.
Exactly.
And so I like that.
Nice and
pace
quick.
Of it.
Yeah. Just nice little, just like they would in a movie, cinematic storytelling. The camera pans over and reminds you what the heroes are, what their goal is. It's to hunt down Officer Bob, who's trying to escape. And all right. So at some point we need to do a video of with Alex Brown explaining the crazy programming and trickery we had to do to get all these layers of parallax in this level. The classic Amiga computer was not on paper meant to be able to get this much layered scrolling with these many colors and large characters on screen. So we've spent literally years perfecting and optimizing this engine, and virtually every level of the game has been hand programmed in regard to the environment and background scrolling, with super custom trickery putting use to the hardware in crazy ways, super specific to that level to pull off what needs to be done. Like the crazy thing about this level in particular, the entire environment is made out of nothing but sprites, and and usually, as you nerdier retro game fans watching might know, usually sprites are the thing used for the moving objects and characters in a game and not for a background. But in this level, the background is the train that moves independently, and then the entire foreground and extreme background there, this is all done with horizontal lines that go across the entire screen, and then sprites. The floor we're walking on, that little newspaper there, the big columns that come in the extreme foreground, those are all sprites.
Right.
I mean, those are all sprites.
Like,
yeah.
It's really well done. I like to, I remember you iterating on this level and getting all of the values just right and all the little extra details, and it just came together. Just from, being such an environment artist type myself.
Yeah.
I highly appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's high praise coming from you. For those of you who have not seen his time-lapse videos working on pixel art, including environment art for our other game project, Damon Claw, should check it out. He is an absolutely fantastic artist in general, but his environment work especially puts most of us professional pixel artists to shame. And amazing use of color. Damon Claw is being made to match the color constraints of the Mega Drive, which has a total color palette to choose from of 512 colors, whereas the Amiga here, this game, can draw from a total possible color range of 4,096 colors. But yeah, so check out Damon Claw and look at those environments and compare it to any other Mega Drive game you've seen, or as we call it in America, Sega Genesis, and you'll see just how beautifully Corey controls color limitations. And here we are going into level 3, and this level is less finished than the others, but this is the actual latest, cleanest version of level 3. The enemies still aren't done as far as their behavior, AI, and difficulty balance, but they're a bit more cleaned up, and then there's some cool stuff going on in the environment. You'll see we actually have scared passengers. That was one of the things that I always thought was missing in games like Streets of Rage 2. There was a nice bit of it in Golden Axe, especially the arcade version, where you'd have the running villagers screaming at the beginning of levels. But so I wanted to have as much of that as I can in Metro Siege, but there's the severe technical constraints. They couldn't be fully animated characters. That would eat up too much memory and performance if we want to be able to have 4 enemies and 2 players on screen. So Alex worked out animated tiles into the background. You see Bob. We're going from car to car, and Officer Bob is peeking, hoping that the thugs in that car beat us. So he's actually watching from the window there, and then when we kill the last thug in each train car, he does that great uh-oh face and then runs away. And you could see there's something about to happen with... Oh, I can walk off screen. That's a bug. I'll have to report that to Alex. But you could see there... Oh, there he was. So the guy's hiding behind the newspapers, who at first you think, oh, they're just scared passengers pretending to not see the carnage going on, hoping to not get dragged into it, hiding behind their newspapers. But they're actually thugs waiting to ambush you when you think you're done with that train car, emptying it out. Yeah. So eventually I'm going to trigger an actual camera cut over to Bob. So don't kill them yet. Hold on a second. Let one guy live. I need to talk a little bit longer. But we'll just toy with him and run him around in circles. But... Oh yeah, another thing I haven't mentioned. This game has blocking and counterattack. So if you hold attack and press backward away from the way you're aiming, you'll block. And if you initiate that block just before the enemy hits you, you automatically do a fairly strong counterattack, which not only is it great for playing with style, but it rewards you with a bit more hit points back and stuff like that. No big deal. That was that's as far as the game has gotten so far as actual functionality. It just looped back to level 1. But I was just saying, the counterattack, it gives you back a little bit of health and refills your magic meter. Another pet peeve I had with most beat-em-up games is you have a desperation move you can do. See, that's a regular block, but if there's no way with your lag you're going to be able to do it.
I know, yeah.
But if you do it like literally the second before the enemy attacks you, then it automatically counterattacks. It doesn't just block to protect yourself, it counters. And then you get back a tiny bit of health, and you build that blue meter under your name, which is your desperation meter. So the characters have different moves that you can do that drain that meter, which is the usual. You press both buttons at the same time. And instead of a grab, Kim doesn't grab. Her tonfa there, her fighting sticks, are actually also, they have built-in tasers in the end. And so if you initiate that instead of the grab, but then also tap the button, it'll drain her desperation meter and electrocute the enemies for more damage. Nice. And then she's faster, and everyone has special moves only they can do. One nice thing, if you grab someone, Corey, and then hold up and tap attack, you'll do a built-in attack sequence with some hits to the body followed by a giant spinning uppercut. The lag is going to make this difficult. Yeah. So yeah, you just hold attack and then tap forward. And then once you grab them, you hold up and then tap attack. With the lag, that's easier said than done. There you go, you got it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yep, nice job. And then similarly, if you hold down when you grab someone and press attack, you'll slam the guy right on the ground near your feet. So you could either throw them far left and right to possibly hit enemies that are coming at you from the left and right, or you could slam them down right at your feet. And another nice thing you can do in Metro Siege that you can't in most, you can hit the enemies while they're down on the ground. And if you get knocked down on the ground, they can do the same thing to you. But if you tap up or down quickly twice, you'll actually be able to roll out of harm's way. And later in the game, there will be enemies, like big enemies, that try to belly splash you, belly flop on you, to hurt you while you're down. And if you roll out of the way, and they belly flop onto the pavement, they're going to hurt themselves for quite a bit of damage.
These two initial thugs, you did sort of the reskinned guy with the sunglasses or whatever.
Yep.
Do they have slightly different behaviors, or is it pretty much just for variety to make two different versions of that guy?
They do, but it's potentially not noticeably different enough yet, which is an easy tweak. You know about the modular animation tool we're using, Retro Animator, made by Eric Colgan. Just that alone, by changing the timing of attacks and what they look like, changing how long it takes an enemy to recover from their attack, all of that can have a pretty big effect on how the different enemies, even though they're made out of most of the same body parts, how differently they'll play.
Right.
But on top of that, we can actually also change their AI, their movement speed, the likelihood they are to do different attacks, and even their basically footwork. Like in level 2, there's an enemy specifically designed to be annoying. He's called Bile, and he's specifically designed to be very fast on his feet, and kind of much more often he'll try to stay outside of your range and then come in with a fast attack. And so all of those kinds of things you can tweak on a per enemy type basis, even though they share mostly the same AI code and mostly the same body parts in order to fit so many enemies in memory on the, like I said, 30-year-old Amiga computers. But don't forget, everyone, this game, it runs on 30-year-old Amiga computers, but it will also be out on most modern systems as well. And we definitely hope and plan to get it out on Mega Drive someday as well. We won't make this video too much longer, but we'll fight Bob one more time. So once you grab, you have a lot of things you could do. If you hold attack and tap up, you do a back attack in case someone's coming up behind you. If you double tap forward twice, you do a dash forward. And if you attack while you're dashing forward, you do a strong dash attack. If I hold the attack button and tap back twice, so if I tap back once or hold back, I block. But if I tap back twice quickly, I hop backward. And then I can go right into a dodge back followed by a counter attack. There's a low attack. If you do that over an enemy that's down, that'll hit them. But you can also jump up in the air, so let me knock this guy down. If I jump in the air and tap down twice, I'll actually do a knee drop to do even bigger damage to the enemy that's down on the ground, with the risk that if they get up out of the way, or later enemies will be able to do that same evasive roll, then if they get out of the way, then you're going to land on your knees on the cement and actually take damage yourself. We can, if we're really good and stay on either side of him, we can prevent him from getting to the back of his car and therefore getting into mode 2.
Like even the donuts too, right? It's
Yep.
possible for him to never eat them, I suppose.
There we go. We got him before he could do mode 2. So there you go.
Awesome.
Yep, so that is, I guess we'll stop it there, but there's stuff I didn't even mention. You can, like in Streets of Rage 2, if you press jump to jump straight up, but then immediately after tap back, you'll do a back jump, and you could even do a back jump kick forward, which is just a really nice way to be able to play with a lot of style. Like imagine an enemy is trying to charge at you to do a grab, or they're coming in with a punch. So you jump back away from that attack, but then you kick out and kick them right in the face. So there's so many ways to do like basically fancy footwork and like get back just out of range and then come in with a counterattack. And one of the design ideas I have for this game in general is to really bring in that concept of visually cueing the player with rewarding things telling you when you're playing well. So in most of the boss fights, we'll probably even end up retroactively adding it to the Officer Bob fight here. There will be key specific attacks you can do in specific moments when he's vulnerable that will trigger a special animation in Officer Bob where it's really obvious that you've done extra damage.
Right.
So that's that's something we're already doing in Damon Claw with the boss fights that we're going to work into Metro Siege as well. And eventually there will probably even be custom animations during boss fights for the players where if you initiate a counterattack, you successfully counterattack, suddenly your hero will do an extra special custom counterattack just for that boss to really let you know, yes, you're doing the thing that is the best, fastest, and most stylish way to beat the boss.
Well, even though like I like the idea that he's got his sunglasses on all the time, it could be like one of the hit frames. Like his sunglasses are kind of like rocked, and
Yeah, definitely.
see his eyes a little bit, or things
Yeah.
like that. It could be an expression, or yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But I suppose that's extra memory. But if you have it could just be using the parts that exist and doing it.
Yep. So there's a secret move in Metro Siege that Alex and Kim can do that with the lag is almost impossible for you to do. But if you jump in the air and then hold down, and at the very last second before you normally land, you press attack, you'll actually do kick out both your legs. So you're doing a super low attack where you land on your back, and it hurts you a tiny bit, but it would get under the kind of blocking or radar of an enemy. They wouldn't expect it. So it could be a really fun last attack you do to beat a boss, and there might be extra, like I said, that extra damage and extra special animation if you do that. But it's basically a hidden move that most people will never discover unless they've watched this video. But the reason I did it right now with no one around, let me do it again, is to show you if I tap up and down twice, I do a roll to be able to evade getting attacked while I'm down on the ground. So,
she's just upset and refusing.
yeah, she's
the
throwing
adventure.
a tantrum.
Yeah.
I don't want to
No, I'm not going.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So that's the gist of it. That's as much of the game as we have going actually functional in the game so far. However, several other levels are partially programmed. So here's another level in progress. We did test it. Again, this has a crazy amount of on-screen colors and parallax for classic 30-year-old Amiga computers. A lot of trickery going on here. Not completely finished. I plan on redoing the water and the animated water reflection trick on the bottom of the boat. But basically, this is near the end of the game where you're taking a ferry boat ride from the main city to the kind of resort casino island nearby. But there will be enemies coming out of that door. And then eventually there's actually a top level with seating up there in the boat that you'll never see, but you'll actually see, eventually there'll be railing up there and you'll see enemy legs running around, and enemies will drop down to try to ambush you from up above. So yeah, because this is one of the later levels, there won't be a ton of enemies, but the enemies that are there and probably a sub-boss will be quite tough. By this time, the enemies also will be able to block and counterattack and do low attacks and stuff like that. Many other levels are planned out and the graphics are partly finished. And then we've got levels like this that are partially programmed and the art is quite far along. Anyway, that is how the game is shaping up. We hope everyone enjoyed it, and thanks very much for watching.
If you enjoy our content and want to keep up to date on our games, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you want to support our projects, consider becoming a patron. The link's in the description, and we'll see you soon.